Whether you're buying your very first home or you're getting ready to sell your home for the first time, there's one part of the process that people don't fully understand. And sometimes until it's too late. What is that? Title insurance. This is the part that protects you both legally and financially. And this right here, this is where problems can arise during the escrow process. It could delay or even derail your closing. This is why I have invited our special guest for today, Matthew with Stewart Title. We're going to be covering everything from the most basic to the more advanced type of topics. And by the end, you're going to know exactly what to ask and how to protect yourself in one of the biggest transactions of our lives. You guys, I want you to meet Matthew Luevano with Stewart Title. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge, with everybody here, because title insurance is one of those things where it's not really talked about too much. And I want to expand on it because it's so important.
Oh, yeah.
It's so important in the transaction. And so a little bit more about Matthew, you guys, is he's with Stewart Title, a well-respected company in the industry, in the real estate industry. Born and raised in Pasadena, knows the San Gabriel Valley like the back of his hand. And he's been around real estate his whole life. He now helps buyers and sellers feel confident and protected during one of the biggest transactions of their lives. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or a seller, even a new realtor, just starting out in the business, you're going to walk away from this Q&A with some real clarity around title insurance. You guys, let's get into it. What exactly does a title company do in a real estate transaction?
Yeah, that's a good question. So let's start it off. So a title company's job is to make sure the buyer is getting clear and legal ownership of the property. And the most important thing is you want clear and legal ownership without any hidden issues. So number one, research the property's history, and we want to confirm that the seller really owns the property.
Yeah.
Super important, right? Number two is check for anything attached to the property. They could have liens, they could have judgments, they could have something against a property that can create future problems. And then number three is issue the title insurance.
Perfect. I know. So important, right? Because there's so much fraud going on. I had a situation where there was somebody who was wanting to sell a piece of land. Mm-hmm. They called me up posing as the seller.
Oh my gosh. It happens so much.
What kind of hidden problems can show up on a property?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot of problems that can show up. Let me go ahead and start from square one. So number one is unpaid liens. Let's just say a seller refinanced a couple years ago, but never paid off the loan and the debt is still recorded. So that's number one. Number two can be a judgment. So let's just say someone, sued the seller of the property and they won. There could be a judgment against the actual property.
Yeah.
Number three can be an easement, which is basically like a city might have access to part of your driveway or backyard, unreleased mortgages, HOA issues. Now, this one's kind of crazy, is missing heirs or co-owners. I want to give you an example here.
Okay.
Let's just say, it's a funny example, but I like to use this one because it makes the most sense. But let's just say you bought a house and you think everything's fine, but you didn't buy title insurance. And then someone comes knocking at your door saying, hey, listen, this house was actually promised to me by my uncle. So undisclosed heirs or missing heirs, that's what you want to watch out for. Those are some of the problems that can occur as well.
I can imagine that can be a huge issue.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, most definitely. A question that did come up for me was, what about child support? Is child support something that can potentially come on a title?
Correct. Yeah, okay. That is also something that can be on title as well. So any of these problems, we want to make sure that the person buying the house is not tied to this in any way. So those have to be cleared up ASAP.
Exactly. So when they're purchasing the property, so anything that's on the property is totally looked at, it's brought to light and cleared up before transferring over to the new buyer. People are watching this, they're going to be like, okay, I get it now. Title insurance is so important.
You need it.
Yep. What is the difference between title insurance and escrow services? Because I know some people might get a little bit confused with the two, but they're so different.
Yeah, that's a good question. So usually these two are bundled together, but they're two completely separate things. Now, number one, title is you want to make sure that the home is legally clean and ready to transfer. Now, escrow holds the money, they hold the funds, they do all of the paperwork and get instructions from both sides to make sure everything closes smooth. Now, there's an analogy I like to use. Think of it this way, right? You're at an airport and you see planes coming in and out all day, all night. Think of the escrow officer as a control tower. They're directing the planes on where to go, where to land, so everything closes smoothly and the plane can land safely as well.
I love that. That really does paint a good picture of it, because they're just really overseeing everything, right?
Exactly.
So it's like the escrow services, but then the title insurance. You guys are kind of like just in the background protecting the new owner and ensuring that their new asset, that the property doesn't come with any liens and things like that.
That's exactly right. Yeah, they don't pick sides. They're only focused on one thing, is a safe and smooth closing as well.
What is the difference between the buyers and sellers side of escrow?
Yeah, that's a good question. So each side has a couple of different responsibilities, but this is how you can look at it. So the buyer side basically reviews the reports and disclosures, finalizes the mortgage, and then wires a down payment. So that's number one for the buyer side. Now, when it comes to the seller side, they clear any issues on the title, like paying off old loans. Of course, that's very important.
Yeah.
Signing any deeds and then making sure everything is ready to hand off the home and basically getting everything ready for the home to sell.
Right. They're like a neutral party.
Yeah, exactly.
What is a preliminary title report and why is that important?
Oh, yeah. So a prelim or a preliminary title report is very important. Think of it as a background check, right? Maybe someone's getting a new job and they're going to get a background check from their company or the people that are interviewing them. Now, think of this as a background check, but instead of the person getting it, we're going to do it for the property. So basically what happens is we find out who actually owns the home, right? What debt is attached to this home, or what liens or what legal claims are attached to this home. And then if there's any restrictions, easements, or any red flags that you need to know about.
And who usually pays for title insurance in California, and can it change?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the seller pays for the owner's title insurance policy. I guess I should swing it like this. Mm-hmm. There's two policies for title insurance. There's the owner's policy and there's the lender's policy. The owner's policy protects the buyer and the lender's policy protects the person giving the loan, which is probably the bank.
Right.
Seller pays for the owner's title policy and the buyer pays for the lender's policy. But these terms can always be negotiated. It's based on the deal, it's based on the market, and it just depends kind of where it's at.
Perfect. And these fees also are just paid one time in the very beginning.
That is exactly, yes. I'm glad that you mentioned that. These are one-time fees that are paid at closing. So they're not monthly premiums, but think about it this way too. It's a relatively small cost for what it brings you in the future, which is peace of mind.
Exactly. And this is going to be good information for those people who like to sell, who want to take on the project of selling their home, what we like to call in the industry for sale by owner, a FSBO, where you're not utilizing a realtor to kind of guide you through this process and recommend a solid title company, a solid escrow company to help guide you and help and protect you as far as legalities go as well too. So these are things that you wouldn't know to do, and so important that title insurance is used in every real estate transaction.
100%. And then something too, I'm glad that you brought that up to keep in mind is that when you refinance your mortgage, you will need a new lender's policy. So you will need to get new title insurance again if you end up refinancing your mortgage.
That's a really good point. And that's bundled in with the closing costs. So every time pretty much you do a transaction, whether you're purchasing a home, selling a home, refinancing a home, that title report is going to need to be ran.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
What kinds of issues can show up during a title search? This is a good one because I feel this is something that we should touch on for sure.
So many. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, when you do a title search, it can uncover a lot of things, and a lot of things that it uncovers are very unexpected. So that's why we do a title search. We want to nip these things in the butt, if you will. Unpaid property taxes, liens, judgments, easements, things of that nature, trust or divorce issues. Now, these things cannot be overlooked. One thing that I always say is, when you're, ordering the title report is I always recommend to order the prelim before the house goes into escrow. And here's why. This is kind of like a life hack, because when you do that, you have a lot more time to kind of clear up these issues. Now, if you order it when the house goes into escrow, we're still going to find things out. But the point is you have a lot of time to order the prelim before to kind of resolve these issues and kind of just get them taken care of, if you will.
Exactly. And this definitely helps make your process smooth.
Oh, yeah.
And a really good realtor will advise that you do get a preliminary title report while you're in the pre-planning stages of selling your home, because sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. What if you were doing construction and you didn't know that there was a mechanics lien against the property? Or what if there was a judgment like Matthew was saying, and there's a lien against the property. You did pay it off, though that lien shouldn't be there. So you have all the paperwork and everything to back it up, but it's a process. When you get into escrow and you're closing between, depending on who's buying your property, if it's a cash offer for 7 days or if it's finance for 30 days, you might need a little bit more time to satisfy that judgment, because now we're working with the title company. We got to have proof. We don't know how long that process is going to take.
Exactly.
Especially if we're dealing with the IRS. If it's something like that, we don't know how long that process is going to take. So doing due diligence up front and making sure that that's ran before putting your house on the market is, like Matthew was saying, it's a 100% hack. And I would say that's we're still going to get into it, but I feel like that's the big tip of the day.
Oh, yeah, definitely. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. If something shows up on title, like an old loan or lien, what happens next? And I guess that's a great segue question to what we were just talking about too.
Totally. Yeah. So number one thing you do, right, is don't panic. That's the number one thing you do. Number two is take a deep breath, because everything's going to be okay. So this is exactly why we run title searches in the first place, because if something pops up, we know exactly what we're working with. I'll kind of just start here, but number one, we're going to work with the escrow officer and seller to figure out what the problem is and how to resolve that problem. Because sometimes there's something on the preliminary report and you think to yourself, and sometimes, someone thinks the worst, but it could be the easiest fix. Yeah. So this is why I say, kind of don't think too ahead. Let us work with the escrow officer to see how we can kind of patch things up.
Yeah, that's good.
Maybe sometimes it's just something like the paperwork, and it's just like proving a loan that was already paid. It can be as simple as that.
Yeah.
Now, other times the seller needs to pay off the debt or get legal documents before we can move forward with the deal. And getting those legal documents, I mean, I don't know if you guys ever been to the DMV before, and tried to order just documents in general from anywhere. It might take a while. So the more time you have to do that, the better shape that you'll be in.
Yeah, most definitely. That's really, really good advice. So this next question is for homeowners that are thinking that they're going to sell or they're getting ready to sell. What are some common title issues that can delay a closing, and how can they prepare in advance?
Great question. Yeah, by the way, that's exciting. You're looking to sell your property. You want to get the most bang for your buck. You want to see what your property is worth. That's a very exciting time. But some of the biggest surprises from sellers and things they don't know are something like, let's just say, old loans or refinances that were never officially released. That can be a title issue in and of itself. It can even be as simple as misspelled names on the vesting, right? This person's name is spelled like this, but it's actually spelled like this on the actual document. Yeah. That can delay the closing as well. Just maybe even just like a misspelled name or a word, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Judgments, of course, tax liens that slip through the cracks, and then co-owners, maybe like ex-wives or relatives that are still on the title.
That is a very good point. I actually had a closing recently where it was a woman still married, but they're going through their divorce and their separation. And so he had to sign what's called a quit claim deed.
Quick claim
So
deed, yeah.
that she could purchase the house. Now they're amicable, so everything went smooth, thank goodness. But what if it's not amicable? What if that spouse is like absolutely not, giving them a hard time and things like that? So being able to have some time to kind of work through those things is going to be helpful as well.
Exactly. And then here are some tips as well that you can kind of use to your advantage to get everything done quickly is keep your records handy. Having your documentation for any paid off loans, any divorce documents, trust documents, anything related to ownership, save it. Don't throw it away. Put it somewhere very safe. So when that does pop up, you don't need to order the documents. You're already going to have them in your possession. Another thing too is I can't stress this enough is ordering that prelim before your house goes into escrow, because again, the more time you have to figure things out, the better. And then lastly is, communicating early with your title rep. Your title rep should be reviewing the preliminary report with you, kind of spotting these potential problems. And then your job, and this is what I would say, is ask questions. If you don't know what something means, just ask questions because you want to be informed as a seller and you want to know exactly what's going on, with your house that you want to sell.
If you guys are out there looking at a preliminary title report, you can contact your realtor or the title representative that's to help guide you through the, interpreting the preliminary title report. For both buyers and sellers, what are red flags in a title report that are often overlooked?
Yeah, so most people that look at the prelim only care about who owns a house, but that shouldn't be the only thing you're looking at. Let me explain a few things that you shouldn't overlook and you should ignore on the prelim in terms of red flags. So number one is easements, shared driveways. What if you have a house, or what if you have a group of houses, but to get to your house, you have to share a driveway with your neighbors to actually get to that house, right? So that's something very important to keep in mind is like a public access path. Right? You want to know who has access to this. If I build this, is it gonna change anything up? Is it even legal to do? So easements is a very important aspect not to overlook.
Yeah.
Encroachments is another one, maybe like a fence or a structure. Maybe that's kind of on your property or on your neighbor's property. That's another one too. A trust, or maybe the property is like in an LLC, which is like an investment company. And then another thing too is just look at the zoning. Yeah, a zoning means there's a building and it's used for office purposes, or there's a building and it's used for residential. So that's something as well.
What if the seller is going through a divorce, or there's a death of an owner, or the property is held in an LLC?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good one too. So everything that you just mentioned, extra documentation, right?
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, exactly. So divorce, maybe the both of the spouses might still be on title, even if one moved out. So you're going to need signatures or court orders saying that they're basically on the same page in terms of selling the house and what they want to do with the house. Because if they're still on the same title and one person decides they want to sell the house, but the spouse or whoever it is isn't okay with it and they still try to do it, it's not going to happen because they both still have ownership of that one property.
Exactly. It's going to be at a standstill.
Correct. Exactly. Number two is death. If the owner passes away, you're going to need a death certificate. It's probably the best thing to get. And then number three is if it's in an LLC, we'll ask for the operating agreement and proof that the person signing has authority to sell the property. Because again, a lot of fraud is happening right now, right? We want to make sure the person that owns a property is able to sell it.
What is the most common mistake that delays closing, and how can it be avoided?
Oh, yeah. So sellers, I probably mentioned this a few times, but order the prelim early, even if it's before listing the home, because you're going to have all the facts and all the details ready for your house to close, and you can kind of clear everything up. And review the prelim with someone who kind of knows the ins and outs. Maybe a title rep or maybe even an agent can do it, but review the prelim with someone who can explain it. This way, when something comes up, you know exactly who to go to kind of clear the problem.
So, Matthew, what is something that surprised you when you first got into the title insurance business?
Oh, I love that question. Wow. So something that surprised me when I first got into the title insurance business is how much people don't know what title insurance is.
Yeah, that's true.
And it just surprised. I mean, unless, obviously that you're in the industry, whether you're an agent, a broker, escrow officer, title, of course. If you're not really in the industry, then you don't know what title insurance is. But then every time that I explain it to someone, they're like, oh, that's very important. I should probably get that when I buy a house. Yes, 100% you should.
Exactly. Hence this video.
Hence this video. Exactly.
For sure.
So and like you mentioned before, it's a one-time cost that protects you as long as you own the property. And I like to use analogies, but it's like having a seatbelt, right? You hope you never need it, but it's always good to have on just in case you do need it.
So, Matthew, where can someone go if they want to learn more or need help understanding their title report?
Oh, yeah. So if you need help understanding the title report or need more information, www.stewarttitle.com is going to tell you everything you need to know. Or what you can also do is give me a call. What I like to do is I like to break it down for the clients. I want to make sure they feel confident and that they learn and that they're educated on kind of what everything looks like. But you can always go to your real estate agent or your title rep for that information too. But yeah, don't hesitate to reach out.
Beautiful. And then you guys, all of Matthew's contact information is going to be down in the description. Wasn't Matthew great? He gave us loads of information, and I hope you guys got a lot out of our conversation. And it gave you a clearer understanding of what title insurance is, what it covers, why it matters, and how it protects you even after you close escrow and move into your new home. What was the biggest takeaway for you guys? I'll tell you right now, the thing that really stood out for me, and I know Matthew too, the biggest takeaway is for a homeowner who's thinking of selling, get your preliminary title report before putting your home on the market. When you're just thinking about selling, that is a 110% pro tip for you. And if you're thinking about buying or selling, let's chat before you go into escrow so that I could help get you ahead during that process and make it a smooth experience for you. If you'd like to get in contact with me or with Matthew, check the links in the description, and you'll also find some free resources to help you along your journey. One more thing before we go, you guys, connect with me on social media, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. My handle is @MichelleCaliRealtor1111. Let's connect there. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys found this video helpful, give it a like, subscribe to our community. We would love to have you here. And for those who are already a part of this community, welcome back. As always, thank you so much for your support. If you know of somebody that's going to embark on this journey, whether they're buying a home or selling a home, and you feel like this information in the video is going to be helpful for them, please feel free to share it with them as well too. It can make the world of difference for them. Take lots of care, and I will see you on the next video.